Hi everybody. I don't even know really where to begin with this video. This is a really difficult video for me to film. I think I'm ready to finally reveal my diagnosis. And this isn't easy to talk about because I've kept it secret for so long. Only because I just recently, a month ago, found out I was 100% certain of what it was. And it's really hard to talk about. And so I don't know where this video is going to go, but I wrote down some talking points, so please bear with me. Because what I have, it really needs to be raised awareness for, and, you know, there are some side effects that you guys may see, and I don't want you to, you know, I don't want you to think bad, I guess is where I'm going with this. So, first off, I want to tell you what my diagnosis is. My diagnosis was interstitial cystitis, and it is a disease of the bladder. Now, my story started about, let's see, coming up on 8 years ago. It was about the middle of the way through my senior year. I remember having to constantly go to the bathroom. I mean, there was a 6-hour school day. I was going probably at least 6 times, and sometimes twice that. And that wasn't normal for me. I mean, I had some bladder issues, but it was never like that. And so I thought, well, I have a UTI, no big deal. I'll go to the doctor and get some medicine, and then things will be back to normal. So, as I suspected, I had a UTI, or so I thought. And I went to the doctor, and I took the medicine, but nothing helped. Went back again. Oh, you have a UTI. Well, this went on for years. UTI, 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 UTI. Well, at the end of my senior year, I went to a urinologist, and this is before I knew anything of interstitial cystitis. I went to a urinologist, and I don't want to get into too many details, but it was very bad. I was very much mistreated, and to be quite honest, the doctor did not act like he knew what he was doing, and he, in turn, misdiagnosed me with something else. I had several tests run, and they were excruciatingly painful. And so I left the office and never went back. So I was like, this is just something I'm going to have to deal with. You know, I can't. You know, and I continued to have to urinate constantly. I mean, I just don't even know how many times a day I was going, just a ton. And you can imagine going through senior year with exams and this and that and the other. It was really, really, really hard, but I still managed to graduate. And then after senior year, I had a lot of traumatic things in my family happen, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And then about coming up on 3 years now, I discovered, well, I started having pain in my pelvic area-ish, that sort of area, and in the bottom of my stomach. Almost like very bad menstrual cramps. And I was like, okay, I'm getting ready for it to come that time of month, but, you know, whatever. You know, it hurts, but whatever. But then it just kept getting worse and worse. And I'm like, oh my lord, something's got to give. So I went to one urologist, and they were, oh my word. And I told them, I said, I think I have interstitial cystitis, because I did my own research, and I found out that I had all the symptoms of it, you know, and I was like, you know, if I want to know something, I'm not going to wait for a doctor to tell me. I'm going to find out, you know. And so I did all my own research. So I self-diagnosed. Really, I did. For about 3 years, I self-diagnosed. And I went to another urologist that was here in my town, and they were so ill-equipped, and it was terrible. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do my own research, and if I have to pay out of pocket for a doctor, I will. Well, I found an amazing doctor about 2 hours from me, and I explained everything to her, and she said, I think you're right. Because, see, there's no definitive test for, we call it IC. Like I said, the name is interstitial cystitis, but it's so long we call it IC. She said there's no definitive test for IC. It's just a diagnosis of exclusion. You know, you exclude urinary tract infections, bladder cancer, this and that and the other. But she agreed with me that I had all the classic symptoms. Well, she did what's called a cystoscopy, which is a procedure where they insert a scope into your bladder and look around with a camera and see what they can see. And it was very painful. Let's just say it was very painful. And I'll insert some pictures right in here somewhere of what IC looks like on most bladders. I don't particularly know what mine looks like, but it'll give you an idea of where I'm coming from when I say it's painful. So I'll insert a couple pictures somewhere up in here somewhere. But it is painful. Anyway, she told me that she thought it was so after the cystoscopy. She said, I think you're right, you do have interstitial cystitis, but I can't treat it. My line of specialty, I guess, is bladder stones and bladder cancer. So she referred me to a doctor that she knew that she referred all of her IC patients to. Now this doctor that I was going to she was wonderful, but she, like I said, she couldn't treat it, so she referred me to where she refers all of her patients. Come to find out, that doctor, who was like in the same town, but that doctor uses very old methods to treat and diagnose interstitial cystitis. Because I called him and I said, how do you treat interstitial cystitis? How do you diagnose it, first of all? And the lady told me what they do is insert chemical, like you lay on this table and they put these 3 different chemicals in your bladder. Yes, chemicals in your bladder, and however you react to them, that's what tells them you have interstitial cystitis. That's a major red flag for me, because I'd never heard of this being used for interstitial cystitis, and I had done extensive research. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk to my support group. And they begged me to find another doctor. They said, this doctor is not the doctor you want to see. One lady said that she had it done and it sent her into what's called a flare for months. Not let this doctor do this test on you. Basically, an example was given. If 100 patients went into a doctor's office and had this test done and they already knew they had an IC, they would come out and only like 40 of them it would actually be for sure. Basically, that's not always the case. It's just not that way. But the pain was becoming excruciating. Honestly, it is compared to that of labor contractions. And that is no exaggeration. And so I went on a hunt for another doctor. I was like, I have to find one. Through much extensive research, I found one last doctor that is about 3.5 hours from where I live. And I was like, this doctor's my last hope. I don't want to go 3.5 hours, but he's my last hope. And so when I got there, he had me fill out this sheet. You know, it's called basically a symptoms checker sheet. Because he also basically thought I had interstitial cystitis. And I filled it out, you know, and it was like numbers 1 through 4, how much pain, this and that, you know. And I filled it out, and he wanted to do this like ultrasound thing on my stomach to see how much urine I had in my bladder after I had just went to the bathroom 30 minutes before. And when they did it, in 30 minutes, I had the amount of urine I had in my bladder was that of 3 urine specimen cups like they use when they test you for a UTI, 3 of those in 30 minutes. I probably go between 20 and 25 times a day, every about 20 minutes, and it is very hard, and the pain, like I said, is that of labor contractions. And so this doctor, he had me fill out that symptoms checker sheet, and before I left his office, I asked him, I said, so you believe I have interstitial cystitis? And he said, well, he said, based on all your other research from your other doctors and the symptoms checker sheet you did, he said, basically anything above a 15 means you have interstitial cystitis. He said yours was, I believe, 23, so mine was way up there. So, and the pain is, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to, I don't know what's worse, the pain or constantly having to go to the bathroom. And it really has affected my quality of life. I mean, when I first got diagnosed, like I said, it's been about a month. When I first was diagnosed, it was like I wanted to cry both happy and sad tears. Because, you know, it's a release. Because finally, I have a diagnosis, I'm going somewhere, you know. But at the same time, it's devastating because when you're not diagnosed, there's that one glimmer of hope that it might be something else and that it's not this horrible disease. And I don't know. It's still, it'll get to me sometimes. And I said, why is my mind going 100 miles an hour? I've been living with this for 8 years now. Why is my mind racing? I'd known it was this for at least 3 years. And somebody said, because before this time, you knew that you didn't know for certain. You knew, but you didn't know for 100% certain. And now you do. And that one little glimmer of hope that it was something else is gone. Now you know that you have a disease for the rest of your life. And that's what it is. It's not a condition, it's a disease. And the pain has been compared to that of a cancer patient, of a stage 4 cancer patient. And it's the truth. It's very debilitating. I mean, you guys don't see the pain that I face every day. I mean, right now, I'm in pain. Not terrible pain, but nonetheless pain. And it's pretty much an everyday thing, especially about 2 weeks before my cycle comes. And I'm sorry if this is too much information for people, but this is the truth, and I want to give you guys the truth. It's very, very painful. And I have to be very careful what I eat and what I drink. I'm only allowed to drink water and milk, and that's basically it. No tea, no anything like that. And it has to be certain brands of water. No, I am not sponsored or anything, but this is the only brand of water I have found that has not hurt me, because there are some waters that have acids in them. And basically the rule of thumb is if it's canned, if it has acid or caffeine, it's out of the question. Your bladder is one giant open wound, okay? Now imagine that wound on your arm. Would you pour ketchup on the wound on your arm? Of course not. You wouldn't do that because that would hurt, right? Of course. So you wouldn't want to put it in your bladder, when your bladder is much more sensitive, because your bladder is cut and your bladder is damaged. Basically, in every bladder there's a protective coating around the bladder. Well, with IC, that lining is either torn or missing, and you wouldn't put in there things to hurt it. So basically, I am not allowed to have anything with caffeine in it, which doesn't, it only bothered me because I drank tea a lot. But now I'm used to it. I do wish I could have something else to drink besides that, besides water and milk, but you know, you do what you gotta do. The hardest part for me is there's so many food restrictions. It has to be preferably organic. I cannot have anything to do with ketchup. Any kind of condiments are out of the question. 90%, all of salad dressings really, unless it's olive oil, are out of the question. Everything has to be made from scratch, completely. No pre-made things, no none of that. Basically all spices except for salt and garlic. Salt is very limited, is out of the question. And cinnamon is okay every now and then. For example, I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving now, and I've had to make all of our pie crust from scratch because I cannot have store-bought pie crust. And I mean, basically, you name it, I can't have it. You know, no tomato-based sauces like for pizza and pasta and that kind of thing. And it's very hard to know what to eat. And even some of the things that I'm allowed to eat still hurt when I'm in pain, you know. And so there's times when I'm scared to eat. I've had to give up a lot of my favorite foods, and not just junk food per se. I mean, because everybody wants chocolate every now and then. That's another biggie, no chocolate. But it's regular food, and it's very hard, you know. And I feel like I'm rambling, but I really want you guys to understand. And I have to plan everything around the bathroom. I mean, like I said, right now I have to go to the bathroom as I'm filming this, and I don't want to give too much, you know, be like, oh my gosh, that's too much information, nobody wants to know that, but it's the truth, you know. And a lot of people believe that this doesn't exist, and a lot of doctors believe it doesn't exist. And to them I would like to say, 1, you're crazy. 2, I want you to live my life for a day. And 3, again, you're crazy. Because it does exist, and it is very real, and it is very debilitating. I'm trying to also get on another medicine, but I don't want to discuss that one because I'm not on it yet. But the doctor has agreed to let me try it. The medicine Elmeron, I take it 3 times a day, 100 milligrams per tablet or per capsule, and it's supposed to help repair the bladder lining. But there are several drawbacks to this medication, and one of the major ones being that it takes up to 3 months or longer to actually work. Some people have had no success with it at all. Some people have had great success with it. Pain has become excruciating. I had a really bad attack the other day, and that's when I found this new medication, so I'm going to try it. It actually helps with bladder spasms and the pain. So hopefully between the 2 of them, I will get some relief. But if not, if those 2 medicines do not help basically work at all, my only other options are surgical type options. And that really scares me. I'm going to be very open and honest. The surgery options really scare me, and even those may not work. I have come across some people that have actually had to have their bladder removed, which is a bladder made of your intestine. And even then, the IC returned in their bladder that was made for them. So it's almost like, you know, we can't win for losing. There is remission from IC, but remission is very rare. And I pray that I'm one of those rare people, as I'm sure thousands of other sufferers do. And it's a hard thing to deal with. It really is. And a lot of people think that this is just the woman's disease, but it's not. Men do have it too. It's not as common, but men do have it too. And I want the world to know, because I'm tired of hiding it. It's hard to talk about because, like I said, I've kept it a secret for so long. It's hard to talk about, but the world needs to know, because there needs to be more awareness. You know, and more awareness means more funding, and more funding means closer to a cure, hopefully. And there's a lot more that has to do with IC, but I feel like I'm rambling. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions, leave them down below. But I'm going to say this now. Nobody, please, nobody recommend cranberry juice. Yes, IC is like a never-ending bladder infection, and bladder infections are helped with cranberry juice. But you will put me in the hospital if I drink cranberry juice, and that is no exaggeration. So please, no one recommend cranberry juice. And if you're out there and you're an IC sufferer too, please reach out to me, because I'm not new to IC, but I'm new on my journey to healing, and I could use all the help that I could get. And if you think you might have IC and you're not sure, talk to me. I'll try to help you if I can. That's the main purpose of this video, is to let people know that it is real and it does exist. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.